Hey everybody, I'm going to try really hard not to ramble because when I get to talking about this subject, or maybe any subject, I ramble a lot. I'm already doing it, see? I actually just want to tell a story really quick about something that happened to my daughter at school right before summer break happened. Recently, the Moore, Oklahoma tornado tragedy happened. Obama came out and said that the kids ran to the safest place they knew, their school. Used to be the safest place kids knew was at home with their parents, but not anymore because the system really wants to push that idea home that the safest place your kid can be is in the system. And to highlight that point, we were actually at a restaurant watching coverage. I don't have TV at home. I don't have cable or anything like that. I can't really stomach it, but sometimes when we're out at restaurants or something, the news will pop on like a TV up in the corner, and such was the case, and they had CNN playing. The little ticker was going across the bottom, and I think it was like a school official or maybe the principal or something, but they quoted him as saying the real heroes of the Moore, Oklahoma tragedy were the students because they listened to their teachers. So it used to be a heroic act was if you put your life on the line to like save somebody. So if a kid was trying to save their classmates or something. But now heroism is being portrayed as listening to the system and bowing down to authoritarians. So that's now heroism. Listening to your teacher now. That's what they're teaching these kids. And my daughter goes to public school. And before you attack me on that, trust me, I know all about how horrible the public school system is and what its agenda really is. But my kid really wants that experience, that social experience. I've offered to homeschool her. She doesn't want to do that. And I don't have the money to send her to a private institution or pay for one of those fancy homeschool co-op things they do. I don't have that kind of cash. I've really looked into it, and I just cannot find another option that she wants to do. And if she really wants to go, I want to let her do that, so long as I'm vigilant as a parent and I know that I need to help teach her to think critically about what's going into her head. So this is what happened. Her school is near a semi-commercial area, and there's a convenience store near there. And in the mornings, a lot of people like to congregate at that store and wait for, I guess, hourly paid labor type jobs. It's a little sketchy. I mean, it's not like the ghetto crime area, but it's a tad sketchy. And I guess two people got into an altercation, and one of those people ran away from the cops. Well, the cops told the school that the guy might have a gun, and they locked down the school. All right. And I'm okay up until that point. Well, I guess my daughter's classroom has like an anti-chamber, or an anti-chamber thing off to the side, like a little closet or something, and they put all the kids in there, and then they turned off all the lights and locked the door. I'm not cool with that anymore. You're going to stuff a whole bunch of kids, scared kids, into a room in the dark with it locked and say, oh, by the way, there's probably a guy with a gun outside. These kids were terrified, okay? And they left them in there for 2 hours. So for 2 hours, my kid and 25 to 30 other kids were in the dark in a tiny enclosed space being told there may be a guy with a gun out in the hall. And there are, people on that camp. There's a security guard. There's a cop on that campus full time, I think. So there are people there that are going to be already patrolling those hallways. So intermittently, they're hearing footsteps. I mean, just think about this for a second. I mean, I think this would scare most adults. Okay, you're locked in a room. By the way, you're living in a country where there's already a huge atmosphere of fear having to do with mass shootings, especially at schools, as portrayed by our media. It just happens every day, even though it is very statistically small chance of that happening ever. Anyway, but you're in this tiny enclosed space with 25 to 30 other freaking out people. Energy in the room is probably terrible. Oh, and by the way, did I mention they had not eaten lunch yet, and she didn't even get to eat that day till like 2:30. So you've got empty stomachs, low blood sugar, scared, nervous, bad energy, in the dark, in a really small room with a bunch of little kids who are freaking out because they think a guy with a gun is in the school, intermittently hearing footsteps every 10 minutes or so. Think about that. That is terrifying. That's a terror movie. That's a horror movie. That's a bad horror movie plot. I mean, it would be very scary for most people, I think. Now, could they have maybe armed the teachers, since we supposedly live in a land where we have the Second Amendment right to bear arms, and give those teachers a fair shake to possibly protect their students should somebody with a gun show up on campus. Could they do that? They could. Are we? No. What we're doing in our schools is training kids to be afraid of everything, especially their rights, and to believe and trust that the system will protect you and keep you safe. Okay? That's what we're doing. But here's something else. I have these quotes I really want to read, because I didn't know about, I'm late to the game on this, I didn't know about this, but I really want you guys to hear it. This actually came out in a court case, Fields versus Palmdale School District in 2005, and a bunch of parents were really angry because at the elementary school there, their kids were given a survey about really creepy sexual questions that you should not be asking an 8-year-old about. Do you touch yourself, and do you think about having sex with other people? The kind of stuff that nobody should be asking my 8-year-old that, okay? Anyways, especially not their school, like what the hell, right? So these parents got ticked, and they went to the school and protested. The school was like, whatever, so they sued. The Ninth Circuit Court judge actually found that parents do not have a fundamental right to control what information is being given to their kids while they're at school, and said, quote, that once you're on school grounds, your parental rights do not extend beyond the threshold of the school door. So once your kids are in the school door, that's it for you as a parent. You're done. Your job is done for the day till you get your kid back. And they actually clarified that and went on to say, parents have no due process or privacy right to override the determinations of public schools as to the information to which their children will be exposed. So this judge was straight up saying that once your kids are on school grounds, your rights as a parent are null and void. Okay? And that was in a court that they said that. And Obama is now talking about making school full-time. So school's going to be full-time, year-round. It's the idea they're toying with. And he also wants to put in a PK program. So think about that. That means kids will be going to school at age 3. They'll be there till age 18 if they stay in school the whole time. And once they're in that door, you as a parent have no rights to what your kid is learning or what's going into their minds. Okay? It is a training camp. I've spoken multiple times with John Whitehead. He's the constitutional lawyer that runs the Rutherford Institute. And I may have mentioned this before in other reports I've done. He calls it an electronic concentration camp. I would go a step further and say it's an electronic concentration training camp. And all over the country now we have schools where they're forcing kids to wear RFID tracking chips now. They are forcing kids to scan their fingerprints or their palm just to check out a book in the school library or buy their school lunch. And what that's really teaching children is that you are going to be tracked, traced, and chipped, and everywhere you go, and everything that you do in society is going to be followed and watched, and you will have to give up your privacy and your freedom for that. And I've reported at my previous job at the San Antonio School District where they're forcing all the kids to wear RFID tracking chips around their necks. And that school district has like 300 closed-circuit cameras on campus. I mean, that is a heavily recorded campus. And now they're going to track kids with these tracking chips. So, and there was only one student that tried to speak out against that, and her case got thrown down in federal court. Because they want to set the precedent that this is how it's going to be in these schools. We're going to train children to think that this is how you walk through life. And as adults, they're selling it to people through that Google Wallet. Like, you don't have to have a wallet, you can just have a virtual wallet. It reminds me of the movie The Net with Sandra Bullock from the 90s. You guys remember that, right? Where they were able to go in and tweak her information, and then she had no rights and no money and couldn't do anything because they screwed her virtually. That's what this is going to be. It's going to be a total control grid, and they're bringing up our kids to think that that's how life is. That to move through society, you have to give up your rights to privacy and your right to freedom, and you have to be tracked, traced, and chipped, and spied on and followed, and treated like you're guilty till innocent. And they're telling us that it's to keep us all safe from terrorists, right? But actually, while treating us all like the actual terrorists, we're supposed to be being kept safe from. So it's great. And as parents, when you have your kids in this system, you feel helpless. I feel helpless about it a lot of the time. I would really like her to consider other options, or, if something else comes that I'm able to take her out of this situation, because they didn't even call me when they locked down her school and terrified her for hours. She was traumatized by the time she came home, and I didn't even know about it. I didn't even get a phone call. They don't even care enough to let me know, by the way, we're traumatizing your kid today. Like, they didn't even let me know about that. So I was pissed. And I imagine this is something that happens to parents every day in this country. And it's horrible. It's horrible what they're doing. And so I would just say, as parents of students that have to go to public school, if you feel you're in that situation, we just have to be hyper vigilant about what our kids are being taught. If they start full-time school year-round, and your kids will be at the school more than they'll be at home. So you'll have to double time it as a parent to make sure that your kids are not buying into this crazy system. So anyway, I just really wanted to tell that story because it really was just infuriating and disgusting, and I'm sure it happens to people every single day. So we just have to be really vigilant with our children. And I actually have a report coming up of some homework she brought home to me because she was laughing. It was a worksheet on the Patriot Act. You guys are going to love it. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sign off so I don't just ramble all day. Anyway, website is Truth Stream Media, guys. I'll talk to you later.